pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
All right, Wyatt is not here. Engel? Here. Buns?
Present.
Reister?
Here.
Sibel? Sorry, I skipped you.
Have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda, anything needed to be removed before a motion to approve? Have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Committee reports. Scott, Public Works.
Met at 7 a.m. We approved the purchase of 2 pitching mounds and a scoreboard, which is being recommended to council tonight, along with some t-shirt bids, and discussed some issues at the volleyball courts. That was it.
Any questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott. Public hearing. Open the public hearing regarding the approval of tax exemption under the Urban Revitalization Plan for Industrial Use in accordance with Hudson Code of Ordinances, Section 8.07. Anything written, Chrissy?
No.
Any oral comments? Yeah, Jim?
I had a question on,
Sure.
I was wondering who actually submitted the application, who owns the land and what's the building?
It is Mick. Wanna read it off?
It's Steve McDonald, owns the building. It was submitted to the county. It's always been, it gets submitted to the county. The application gets submitted to the county, and the county lets us know that something has been filed.
And is it,
And the industrial revenue tax exemption is in our ordinances already. We've
Yes.
never, this is the first time we've ever had somebody apply for it.
I think that, yeah, the ordinance says that it has to be prior to,
Prior to complete construction. You cannot get your tax exemption until after complete construction.
it has to be approved by planning and zoning. The building, according to the code, it says planning and zoning has to be approved before exemption can be applied for by that individual.
Let's cross-check back into that and see if we've got any misconnections on it.
Yeah, just,
Okay. Anything else? Close the public hearing. General government, Hudson City Council maintains the right to waive the first and second readings of the ordinances presented and may pass the third and final reading of the same ordinance within the same council meeting. Item A, discussion action to approve the second reading of ordinance 815, an ordinance amending section 166.02 of the zoning ordinances of the city of Hudson, Iowa, as amended by removing certain real estate from the A1 suburban agricultural district, including the same in the R6 single-family residential district. I accept a motion to either pass the second or waive the second and then go on to pass the third.
I move that we pass the second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Reister?
Aye.
Wyatt?
Aye.
Engel?
Aye.
Sibel?
All right.
Buns?
Aye.
We all find that, don't we?
Hey, I'm here.
Thank you.
Sorry I was late.
Item B, discussion action to approve the first reading of ordinance 816, an ordinance authorizing tax exemption under the Urban Revitalization Plan for Industrial Use in accordance with Hudson Code of Ordinances, Section 8.07. I'd look for a motion to approve, and what we would do, if we approve the first reading, we'll have, before the second reading, have Chrissy research what Jim has brought up as far as planning and zoning or any other interactions that has to occur in the chain, since it's the first one we're bringing to.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Further discussion?
Can you explain, like, it's the first time we've ever done this?
Yeah, we've never
So-
done this specific thing. The county called us and said, hey, they have applied for their industrial tax exemption, whatever it is. So what Chrissy found is that we have an ordinance addressing it. What it would mean is if it was approved and went through all the way through, is there's the dollar amounts. It's a reducing scale, assessed value of 50% now. If it's 75% exempt, which would be the first shot, because our taxes are about $3,170. So the first year after approval, they would get a $2,378 exemption, then a $19 and a $14, a $950 and a $475. So after 5 years, it's all gone. Now, that property or that development has no, we've got no other development agreement on that piece of property. This would be the only exemption that they have.
So what are the mechanics of this coming from the county? Is that normally how this works? Everything comes that way? Okay.
Yep.
And then, might not have read it carefully enough, but the resolution just said a tax exemption. It didn't specify that this was a 5-year deal. And so I just wondered, like,
Okay.
what's the term of this?
It's in our ordinances that way, that it's,
It can only be 5 years. Okay.
yep,
So we don't need to re-specify that in the resolution
No.
if we've got the ordinance
Yeah.
backing that up?
yep, yeah, it's spelled out in the ordinances.
Just say up to.
Okay. Any other discussion on it? This, again, this is first
First
reading.
reading.
Roll call.
Let me get there, sorry. Engel,
Aye.
Stabell,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
5-0. Item C, discussion and action to approve resolution 2474, a resolution to set a public hearing to approve the request of Stephen and Joanna Hawk to approve the Hawk minor plat number 1, and this would be for a public hearing on May 13th.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Or roll call?
Reister,
Aye.
Buns,
Aye.
Stabell,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Engel.
Aye.
5-0. Item D, discussion and action to approve resolution 2475, a resolution opposing HF 773, a property tax reform bill under consideration in the Iowa legislature.
So moved.
I'll second it with discussion.
Discussion.
Explain it.
Go ahead, Scott.
This is the legislation currently going through discussion and potential action that would cap any city from increasing their property tax collection by more than 2%. So right now, we're at 11.40 on our millage rate. 2% of that would be 22.3 cents. What that would say is, if we had a need to go beyond 11.63 cents in assessment rate, we couldn't. So the resolution that at least one other community passed as a council and is going around for circulation is basically saying, hey, we're a home rule state. Let us, as a city with elected officials, determine what is needed by our community and let us tax accordingly without a absolute cap on it. Because if it's not needed or wanted, there are remedies through elections, there's remedies through public hearings, there's remedies through all that type of stuff. So it's basically to say, don't come out here with a 2.0% cap.
And then the other caveat to that is that, if this passes, cities are only allowed to have a 25% reserve balance. So that means that we can't have the $1 million in that we have for reserves for the fire department. They could only have 25% of our ending balance.
So what would happen to the reserve? They get it, windfall?
No, it would go away. We would have to transfer it back into our general fund.
And the state takes it back?
No,
No, it'd still
same
be
not
part
take
of,
it back.
yeah, but,
But we would not, you know, so if the fire department says, hey, I'm hoping you're building up reserves for 10 years, sorry.
yeah, and it
You
would,
know, trust us, in 10 years, we'll come up with the money
and it
for
would
you.
be, and it would be one of those things where then it would force cities to bond more and to have to bond to pay for a fire truck or,
Big.
yeah, your big ticket items.
And the supposed rationale for this coming up was somebody thinking that city spending is getting out of control. Now, it started well before Elkhorn Heights going from a 920 to a 1080,
Oh,
whatever it is.
Evansdale.
That's being
Evansdale.
appealed right
Evansdale.
now, Evansdale, it's being appealed right now.
What did you just, I don't understand what you just said.
Evansdale came in with a fairly hefty,
Like a 20% tax increase or
Yeah.
something like that, and their
Oh.
citizens are
and the
not happy.
citizens are, you know, bothered by that. And but they've applied to the state to have the city of Evansdale
Audited.
give absolute examples or rationale through every one of their pieces of the millage rate. So it's already got an avenue for stuff to be appealed. So our objection from the city's perspective is, don't put it, But absolutely.
It's
have to.
smaller government, Matt, isn't that what you're saying?
I have two questions. No, that's Walt Rogers' sign.
Oh.
I don't commit to things on my signs. Two questions. One is, who's this coming from? Is it League of Cities?
Yeah, the League of Cities has been
Okay.
putting stuff out.
And then I guess my question for our council is, there's probably, this is the first time I remember us, while I've been on council, passing a resolution in response to something going on in the legislature. I don't know, I mean,
I
it sounds
think
like
you're right. I don't
somebody
recall.
will do that often.
I don't recall any
And
of
so-
the
Yeah,
times
that's
I've been on council.
And there's probably more than just this issue that affects cities. So why have we decided to bring this forward and not the other things that affect cities? You understand my question?
I'm not aware of anything affecting cities that put absolute handcuffs, wristbands, or whatever you wanna call it,
Mhm.
put your arms behind your back and you can only do certain things. This is, I don't recall ever running into something going through the legislature that's this restrictive, that absolutely
Mhm.
takes away our full authority.
Okay.
So then the purpose of this is just to be on record, it's not going to,
Right.
Do anything.
It has not made it all the way through, so this is to put them on notice that we as a city
I think
believe
it's like
this
you
is
said, on
not the right
Yeah,
legislature.
it's
Yeah.
no different than the unions when they were, discussing changing how, if unions could control or what their medical benefits got. And those unions voted to say, we oppose this, as a union, we're telling you we oppose this and sending it to their legislators. It's no
So-
different than that.
So you said another community has done this.
Who was the one that drafted up the resolution?
Bettendorf drafted up the resolution, and put it out on our big message board, and I think that there's other cities that are gonna be following suit.
so
And it was
there'll
passed
be
by
a
them.
letter sent from the city or from this League of Cities
Yeah,
to the legislators and saying,
yep,
all
I'll
these
Mhm.
cities are on record of saying it.
Yeah.
Which
And
because
there's
of
nothing
the,
against you as individuals sending that same type of a comment to our own legislatures.
and I've done that.
because the League of Cities is very active down there lobbying. I mean, I'm just trying to think about what, if I'm a legislator and I hear the League of Cities is registered against this bill, and then I hear from a bunch of cities that are against this bill, I go, I already knew that. So I just don't understand the effect that this
I
has.
think
Probably
it's just
carries more
additional.
weight.
Yeah, it's just additional, yeah. I know my brother's a lobbyist too, and he not only goes out to different companies and different large groups, but he also sends out individuals and wants their feedback to each legislator too. It's kind of like the more emails, the more paperwork, the more names you can get on a list,
Yeah.
the better it's gonna be. So towns, I would say, would carry more weight than individual people, but individual people is gonna get you a whole lot more emails in your inbox that you take notice of if you're a legislator. Personally, but it's just one extra action that can be done to say, hey, let us govern our own stuff.
Any other? Roll call.
All right, Engel,
Aye.
Stabell,
Aye.
Bunce.
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Reister.
No.
4-1. Item E, discussion action to approve resolution 2476, a resolution to purchase 2 LED scoreboards and 2 pitching mounts for the recreation department. Scott alluded this in the Public Works Committee meeting.
So moved.
Second,
I'll second it.
discussion.
I was at the meeting, and it's been more than a day or two ago, so yeah.
Last Wednesday morning, last Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me a question that made me think of another question. We said that could come out of local option sales tax. And that's not limited to just street repairs or just,
The resolution that was approved by the voters
Yeah,
gives us full latitude, basically.
yeah, there's,
Unlike where like, I think Waterloo's 60% or something,
Okay.
street repair or
yeah,
something
it's
like
pretty,
Well,
it's
this is
pretty,
100%.
it's pretty open-ended.
that.
and so then we also had a discussion about the pitching mounds, and were they gonna reimburse the general fund next year?
We had talked
We
about that,
talked about it and-
but we
yeah.
just decided not to.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't overtalk.
No, that's all right.
Further discussion? Roll call.
All right, Engel,
Aye.
Reister,
Aye.
Wyatt,
Aye.
Bunce. Aye. Stabell.
Aye.
5-0. Item F, discussion action to approve resolution 2477, a resolution for approval of insurance coverage proposal for the city of Hudson, Iowa. And this is the Black Hawk Mutual, general liability and all, everything about our health insurance.
Second.
Discussion?
When was the last time we had this reviewed by other companies? 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Approved it.
Somewhere in that
Yeah,
neighborhood.
this is the last year, then
And then we'll
next year
renew it
we,
again?
yep.
Or we'll review it again?
Yep, we review it every
Thank you.
three
right?
years, yeah.
What I thought we had set up originally.
Roll call.
Reister.
Aye.
Engel.
Aye.
Wyatt.
Aye.
Buns.
Aye.
Stabell.
5-0. Number of informational packet, items in your packet, reminder items, regular scheduled meetings held in council chambers except electric board and library board. Public safety committee meeting is canceled for April. Public Works, May 13th, 7 a.m. Mayor's Task Force, May 21st, 5 p.m. Personnel Admin Finance Committee meeting, May 28th, 4:45 p.m. Council meetings, May 13th and May 28th. 28th, remember, is the Tuesday.
Tuesday, not the
Removed it
Monday.
for
Correct.
Monday. So,
Yeah.
You remind me, right?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
So
Are
moved.
you sure?
Are you?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.
I don't know.
Am I still in the public safety committee?